from that, and then at that particular power I will be calculating my S parameters. Okay, so say for example, gain of my first PA is 35 dB, gain of my second PA is 15 dB. So I have total 40, 35 plus 15, 50 dB gain. So if my this amplifier, if I send minus 10, it will be plus 20 here. If I send plus 20 and it has 15 dB, it will be 35 dBm at the output. So that is roughly what I want. So let's say I put my input power minus 5, okay, and I am giving what frequency I want to sweep. So it will ask me one which what is the frequency you want to give, like in simulator, right? How you have start, end, and step. So you select those frequency, and then I will just say that let's measure. So I will just measure it. So then what it is doing, it is sending the RF signal from there. It is passing on through this PA, and then it is basically plotting that as a function of it is plotting that as a function of my frequency. Okay, and again, of course, at depending on what power you choose, your results change. So so if it is minus 5 plus 30 30, so yeah. So for example, now let's go a little bit lower and I will redo the measurement. So you see what I'm trying to say is that you have to you can't do all these things manually, because they are very, you need a lot of precision, because it just can't be like, oh yeah, some DC current is there, it's fine. No, you have to have a lot of precision. For that you do measurements like this. So now if I see, my S11 is minus 9. So if it is minus 9, what does it mean? That my match at input is not so good, which means that my input is not matched properly, and that's why technically this return loss should be very good. So my S11 should be very high negative value, and everything should be very close to 50 ohms here at the center, but it is very dispersive. Similarly, my S21, it shows like, it is going from 15 dB to 19, 20 dB, and then it rolls over frequency, right? So my S21 tells me the gain, how much gain I am getting in the branch. And similarly, I can get what is the phase, right? So all these things are being used right now for my S parameter simulations. Okay. Um, I want to explain you more before I just figuring it out if I have a whiteboard somewhere. Okay, just 1 second. And then of course, you when you design, you have to do all sorts of soldering, specialized capacitors, and for that you use these solder guns. You basically heat them up, use solder flux, and you try to solder different components, and whether it is resistor, capacitor. And I think you guys would have seen solder guns before. Okay, for devices which we cannot see from naked eye, we use something like this, which is called as like probe station. So in probe station, you probe your devices. Those are very sophisticated. If you see, these are the needles which are coming in to probe the drain and the gate of my device. So these are very sophisticated tools, and they cost millions of dollars. So just 1 second. So let me explain you one thing. So what is happening there in the, so I have this like PA1, then I have this isolator as I explained you, then I have PA2, and then with PA1 and PA2, then I have this source signal generator, and then I am putting attenuation, and then the signal is coming from here, signal is going here. Then for PA1 I have drain and gate to bias. And then I will be measuring drain current. At the drain, I will be measuring drain voltage, current and gate voltage. Similarly for PA2, I have a drain supply, I have a gate supply. And then I am measuring IDC at drain, VDC at drain, IG and VGS. Okay. So when RF is coming, like a signal is coming, with this, whatever that signal is, say S, that will be amplified and it will be GS, say G1, and this is G2. Now, whatever this G1S is, it will be passing through here, and output will be G1 uh, S G1 G2. Okay, that will be the power here, P out. Okay, and then it will be attenuated. So like how we did the system analysis, say loss is L1, so S G1 G2 L1, that will be the total power going there. So now I will be having P in and I will be having P out. Okay, so P out divided by P DC is my efficiency of my system. So P out is the power I am measuring. P DC is my voltage I am applying at DC in times current I am measuring at DC. In this case, IDC, VDC. And P out is whatever power I am measuring is equal to my efficiency. Okay. Now the second thing is gain. Gain is what? P out minus P in. So whatever I am measuring here, I'm subtracting this and I'm getting the gain. So technically, when you design different type of amplifiers, you want to have good efficiency. And I explained you this thing, right? Say this is class C, this is class B, this is class AB, and this is class A. So as you move like this, your efficiency decreases, but your linearity increases. Okay. And that's why we try to always operate at class AB condition, which means that I will try to change my gate such that my drain draws little bit of current, like few milliamperes, 30-40 milliamperes current. Okay, so this is what exactly that setup is. So what I want to do now, I showed you the S parameters. Now I want to send an RF signal, capture the output power, and calculate what is the efficiency of my system. And I want to calculate how much power I get and how much gain I get out of the system. Okay. So let me just get rid of this. And of course, you can do all this manually, but manually takes it forever. Say, for example, you have 10 different frequencies you want to use. So for each frequency, you will be sweeping power, and power power is usually swept. It's not constant. So when power is swept, for each frequency, you are changing power from one point to another point. So let's see. So for example, say I want to decide what frequency I want. So I'm saying, okay, I want all different frequencies 1.8, 1.9, 2.1, 2.2. And then I want to select power. Say, so here, for example, I am sweeping my power from minus 30 dBm to minus, say, minus 4 dBm with a step size of 1. And for each frequency, I want to sweep power. So I defined all that. I defined what limits I have for my current. So you see your device is biased and it is showing 35 milliamp current, which is bare minimum current to bias your device in class AB kind of condition. So once you have all that, you basically go back and you just run. So let me just name it something. And you start the measurements. So when you start the measurement, for first it will do it for the single frequency, it will start sweeping the power. So it's sweeping the power now. You see? So above is the gain. So it says around 20 dB. Below is the efficiency. Okay. So now it is first sweeping. So it's still low power. It will go up to 40 dBm or so. So it is still increasing. You see, the gain is still increasing. So each power is getting swept. The signal is being sent there. It is passing through this. It is measuring at the output and going back, and it's reading the value. And whatever is happening is getting plotted here. So this is for one frequency. So this blue curve is for one frequency. So you get some efficiency. Now this gray curve is for second frequency. So imagine if you want to do this manually, you will have to select a frequency, you will have to change power one by one. And for each power, you will keep measuring whatever DC voltage and current you are reading. And then you will calculate efficiency and then you will calculate gain. So manually, this task becomes very difficult. So that's why what you do, you automate everything. You put everything on, control everything using computer, and pretty much MATLAB can do it. MATLAB is a very powerful tool. If you guys have time, learning it will make you better engineers. All this course and stuff is fine. I mean, you read course, you learn something, but that's good to have enough grades, but doesn't mean that you will be employable enough. To get good employment with good companies, you have to have skill. If you don't have skill, nobody cares. So so yeah, so see, another frequency is getting swept, power is getting changed, change in power, your output power is changing, your gain is changing, and so on. Okay. So this is how, so let it finish, it takes some time. And meanwhile, anyone has any questions so far? Hello. So so do you have any question regarding to what I explained? Okay, good. So see, here also another power is getting swept, and I can read like at frequency of 1.8, I have some gain 17 dB, I have my efficiency, I have my power, I have my S11, and I have my drain efficiency. So if you see, like, this is basically what we want. We want to measure whatever power and efficiencies we are getting over different frequencies. So that's how you do a sweep across frequencies. So all this setup is like pretty much, I have been working on it this week to set it up, to design. All designing is done in ADS. You simulate everything and then you compare with what you get in measurements. So that correlation of input and output gives you some kind of an idea, of what is happening and what you can expect. Yeah. So let me go down here. It's pretty good. Yeah. So that then I can summarize it and I can see whatever efficiency power. So as a designer, what will happen? I will do it, and you see, these have fans below. Why these have fans? Because when you are doing this high power, everything gets heated. So you have to keep circulating the air in that, so that you are cooling down your circuit. Because if the heating continues, it basically impacts your performance. So that's why what you want to do is you want to keep cooling your device, so that your heating doesn't impact the performance of the device in terms of gain or in terms of efficiency or whatever it is. So So once you know that, then you have to have the cooling and the fan always on. If your fan is not on after certain time, you will start seeing a drop in power, drop in efficiency, which you don't want. Like you pretty much want your power and efficiency to be fixed. Okay. Now this is one thing. The second thing which I want to show you is that, say you have a transistor. Now you don't know what is the optimum load. Like, how in simulation it's so easy, right? You basically plot GA circle, GP circle, and figure out whatever that impedance is. Physically, you have these systems which basically keep changing. This is a manual tuner. It's called load pull tuner. So what tuner does it has like mechanical slugs, and each impedance on Smith chart gets synthesized by using this. And then what you do basically is you try to present an impedance in front of your device and measure power and efficiency and gain out of that device. So in simulator you can just do it by keeping a block. Physically it is done using these mechanical tuners which are huge, and for each frequency, each impedance point on Smith chart, you move these tuners, and you basically try to characterize for RF performance. So I have been trying to set this up, and the bench I was showing you, and then there is this another bench where you test 5G signals. Basically, using this component, you send out 5G signals, you capture those signals, you calculate what is the efficiency, what is the linearity, how good the signal is the signal good enough or not. You must have learned the antenna design. So all antenna characterization is done using this. This is basically your anechoic chamber. If you might have heard about it. So for measuring the radiation patterns, if you read about radiation patterns, or if you have simulated in HFSS in other course, it's measured inside this kind of a chamber. So this kind of a chamber, basically what it does, um, it makes sure that your radiation and your lobes are properly captured, and there is no interference of the external world, any sort of external world with the with the with your measurement setup. um, so let me just turn off my power setup. So once I turn it off from there, everything becomes zero here. It was 50 volt I showed you. Now everything became zero. So you basically control your system that way. Like you have signal generator there. This is a typical signal generator. So in signal generator, you can define frequency. You can define what power you want to send. So I can change this. Well, like how you have signal source in ADS. So you can go very low in power. You can keep increasing. It goes up to 25 dBm. After that, you cannot supply more power. So you need external driver. Okay. And then you have this wire. Then this wire sends out that signal. So I can send a signal from this. I can turn my RF on, you know, and once I turn my RF on, the RF is flowing through this cable. And then what happens is that I have analyzer here. Let me try to connect them. So you see what I have done. It's 2 gigahertz frequency, and I have connected this to my analyzer. Okay. So let's say we are measuring at 2 gigahertz. Sorry, 2 point backspace. So I have to set the same frequency. Whatever I'm sending there, I have to send that. So now let's send a power of minus 10 dBm. Okay. Minus 10. I will put RF on. So if my signal is going here, you see, I see this peak. And this peak, if I try to search for Just 1 second. So 2 gigahertz. Yeah. And then I turn RF. So you see, this is all noise floor, which I was explaining, the minus 174 plus 10 log this plus SNR noise figure. And then I have my uh, I have my this what you call as my signal here, and this signal is basically giving me the value I am sending from my signal generator. So one thing, let me see. Okay, go back. -10. Okay, bandwidth measure. Okay, amplitude. So this marker is reading minus 87 here, but if you go to this signal, top of this signal, that's around minus 10 dBm. So we are sending minus 10 dBm, we are getting minus 10 dBm here. If I change this to say 0 dBm, okay, 0, I go here, I will see, you see this peak is around 0 dBm now. So whatever RF signal you send from there, you are able to basically measure in this analyzer. So spectrum analyzer is used to see what sort of spectrum you are sending. Now let me give you another example. Let me send, I will lower the power. Let me send a 5G signal. Okay, like how does a 5G signal look like? So this is an LTE signal. I select that and I turn it on and I turn RF on. So this, now look how my signal is changing. Okay, so 18 megahertz, that's good. And measure config. So I will say this is an LTE standard. So it's taking some time to settle it because it's averaging, over time it averages. And bandwidth, okay, this is done. Sweep time, I can change my sweep time. And then so if I change the power here now, increase that power. So this is what my signal looks like. So because I'm just sending the input signal, and it's linear, I don't have a PA connected, I just have two wires connected, it looks very clean. But if I connect like a amplifier, this will get distorted and it will have all these lobes and all the what you call all the intermodulation uh, products which will start coming in. Okay, so let me show you another example. So lot of signal processing is needed, it's just not about design. Lot of signal processing is needed. Let's take another example. This is like more like 5G signal. Oh, what happened? Baseband R. Okay. Okay. So let me see. Spacing. Span. Where is frequency? Span is here. For some reason, it's local. Because I'm controlling everything through computer. What happens is, if you are controlling everything through computer, you lose local control of it. So you have to first, disconnect it and then start manual connection. So because I was okay, frequency. Okay, this is good. See, so now the signal which I'm sending, it just takes time. You see, it's like so it is like different carriers, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So tx count 2, and spacing is 350 megahertz between two, right? And actually 3 backspace 375 megahertz. And bandwidth, so you see, so these are my two different signals, in this. um just takes time. So they are separated by two bands. So one is operating at, say, three. They are separated by 350 megahertz. So one band is operating at lower band. Like for example, in your phone, you can have a thing where you are operating in a lower band. Another one can operate at a higher band. So and then they have different powers and different carriers. So each carrier you will be sending different amount of information, different amount of data. So that's why you need multi-band broadband carriers, and this is what exactly it means when you talk about 5G multi-band broadband and all that stuff. So I will just turn the RF off. Once you turn RF off, the signal goes away from there, and now I just have my clean, uh, just my noise floor of my system. So 1 second, let me connect it back because wires are too stretched. So these are pretty much like different types of instruments which are used. So do you have any questions so far? Off, output, off, off. Did, uh, did 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 you guys follow at all, or कुछ भी समझ नहीं आया?
So we followed.
You followed, right? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
great. So I'm just trying to show you the scope of the work, and the purpose here is that not you will become experts after seeing it. Because if technically I give you a power supply and I tell you to bias a transistor, it will be a fun experience. You might even burn transistor yourself first time. But the whole idea is to tell you that the intricacies of that it's slightly complicated, and you do it step by step, and at each step you have to think differently. What can damage the device, what cannot damage the device. There is a lot of mechanics involved, there is a lot of small things involved. When you have a PA, this is your transistor, you solder your transistor, then you have a DC block, here is your DC block, then here is your bias feed, lambda by 4 line, and you put caps there. And then similarly at the input you have an RC circuit, then you have a at the gate you have an RC circuit. Similarly, then you have a peaking branch, and then you put solder connectors. So when you are designing, you have to design, you need to know what is the spacing between the connectors so that you can make the layout accordingly. So this is roughly overview I wanted to give you guys when I told you last time. And I will what to say? What was I saying? Yeah. So I will for the next week for the exam. I will pretty much give questions based on whatever we have studied and assignments you have done in the class. So just follow them, and then from my end for today, this is pretty much the setup I wanted to show to you guys. And if anyone has questions, you can ask. I'm available. If not, then good luck with your exam next week. And once I take the exam, I will mark them and I will submit the score to Professor Varun, and then we are good to go for the course. So if anything else anyone wants to discuss or ask or tell or any suggestions, let me know.
So, what do we need to learn to be like what you are doing वो करने के लिए?
So first of all, it's like, given the fact, मैं तो सबको ये recommend करता हूँ कि you heard about my story in the first lecture, right? How I get into RF. So
Yes.
for me what matters is that was again because of COVID and all, it's hard, but one of my purpose was that to give you first hand knowledge, and that's why I introduced ADS. But for some reason not many people followed it, and COVID happened, and our flow got disturbed. But I will say, if you really want to pursue your career in this path, you need to first of all have patience and just don't start running after Infosys and TCS jobs once you graduate. Higher degree, graduate degree is very much important. Without that, because for frankly the place I work, there is no undergrad. Everyone is at least masters. Okay, so look for a grad school where you have all this. And to get into a grad school, like if you want to stay in India, start focusing on preparation of GATE. Try to get in a good IIT where you have access to these kind of instruments. Like if you are in some even in India, like this CARE, Center for Applied Research in Electronics in IIT Delhi has a very good lab. See if you can get 2 months, 3 months internship there. That will help you to get some exposure to the field. And definitely start looking for master's program. Unless you do a higher degree, it's very hard to kind of learn more advanced things and also get a decent job.
Yes, sir.
So
We actually already have this dual degree. So from next semester we will be doing the masters only in
oh,
JNU.
is it? I see. All of you or some people?
Everyone. So I mean, there are many options to choose from MS or MTech, whatever they want to do. But in electronics, we have just two options: VLSI and this microwave devices and circuits.
So I mean, I don't know how the graduate work stuff works there, but uh, I took the course this time, but I'm not sure if what will be my schedule will be for next year. But you have to then pursue some kind of a project at least which you can fabricate and test. So whether it are you if you are deciding to an antenna, depending on which faculty is available, try to choose a project. And I guess in India antenna community is pretty good. Lot of people know how to design antenna and fabricate it. For antenna testing you don't need very hi-fi lab. You can do it just it's a passive device, so you don't have to send RF, you don't need DC and all that. So but if you really want to do this kind of a stuff, uh, your lab and facility matters. And apart from that, a clarity of what exactly you want to do. If you decide that I will in my dual degree I will design an amplifier, so you need to start then at least working in a group, whether it is in JNU or outside JNU or with some professor who can help you and guide you. Because based on that, you can get some kind of an exposure in the field. And once you are done with masters, either you go and work in industry. If you want to work in industry, you should start looking and talking to people who are already working there. Like you should talk to Keysight guys, tell them, hey, you know what, we learned all this, now we have learned ADS ourselves, we are pretty good with it, we are interested in knowing more about Keysight. Try to connect with those people, try to see how if they can help in finding a job or internship is also good, like if you can get. But I know because of pandemic things are not that easy, but you have to keep trying. right? So the basic idea is whatever you want to do, try to find a person who can at least steer you, because um, it's not easy. It takes time. All these things take so much time. Like it's every small thing. So you need to have a permanent place, and like for example, talk to Ayushi. Ayushi is, I think, in your department, right?
Yes, sir.
So Ayushi is a old friend of mine. She did power amplifier in her PhD at IIT Delhi under Professor Karun Rawat. You should talk to her that, hey, I want to pursue a course where we want to just design a power amplifier. So can you help us? Can you help us to learn that? If measurement facility is not there, you can always go to IIT Delhi. If needed, that can be arranged. I don't think that should be a problem, but you have to talk to her, like, is it possible or not? Is there any funding available to design PCBs, base plates, and all that kind of a thing? So so pretty much that's how it works, and you have to figure out at least one place where you can be dedicatedly focused and work on that. um, if you don't have, I will still encourage, if you can't do hardware, at least keep learning ADS yourself. Keep learning, keep mastering the different things, keep watching, so many videos are there. Keep learning system design. Enhance your skill in MATLAB. MATLAB is a very powerful tool, or Python, because these two things are very heavily used everywhere. And once you do that, you will start feeling more confident in the area, and you can, at least when you are talking to Keysight, and you tell, I know in and out of ADS, I can design, I can make layout, I can do all this. So you will be in a better situation for them, so that they can attract you. Talk to Keysight guys next year, so that if they can arrange a workshop for you about measurements, RF measurements. So all these initiatives, either faculty has to take it or students have to take it. Sometimes faculty is busy, they don't have time, so students should go ahead and do these things. Because no, nothing stops you. I mean, sky is the limit. And talk to right people, get the right network up and going, be confident. Don't keep complaining, अरे हमारे पास ये नहीं है, मैं तो तुमसे भी बेकार यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ा हूँ. I mean, at least you in JNU, you still have RF sort of courses, or RF sort of faculties, or whatever it is. My institution was not even as good as JNU, but I myself was very much always motivated, and still I work more than most of you students, because I'm just interested in all this. So खुद पुश करो, अगर फैकल्टी से भी जितना सपोर्ट मिल सकता है, दैट इज गुड. बट अगर नहीं भी मिलता है, so think it as positive. Still try to figure out what you can do by yourself.
Sir, will PhD in this field help grow a career or not?
यार PhD तो definitely help करेगी. Point is not that. Point is, how do you get to a good PhD school? ठीक है, अगर मान लिया तुमको इंडिया में ही रहना है, तो यू हैव टू गो थ्रू गेट, राइट? तो
Yes.
गेट की तैयारी पे फोकस करो, एंड वंस यू आर गेट अ डिसेंट रैंक, देन यू शुड गो एंड try to do RF, like IIT Bombay, IISc Bangalore, IIT Delhi, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras. IIT Madras is very good for VLSI, RFIC. They also have an industry master's program. You should check it out with Texas Instruments. So एक तो वो तरीका. दूसरा तरीका, if you want to go abroad, then there are two things. Once you finish masters, if you have some paper, right, one or two paper you can write with someone, that helps you to increase your skill set, and then you start searching for professors in the same field. You apply under them and start doing your PhD. The good advantage of directly going to PhD abroad is that it's funded, so you don't have to spend money. It takes care of you. If not, you do another master's abroad in the similar area, and then from there go into PhD. But for abroad, what matters is, okay, grades and everything is important, but apart from that, you need to showcase some research experience, whether you do it in IIT or you do it in DRDO. DRDO has SSPL lab. You should try to talk to people in SSPL, try to see if you can get some sort of internship. So you have to do profiling. Your career profiling has to be done if you want to apply abroad, and if not, then um, you you stick to gate, and see through gate if you can get into some good school.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else has any questions?
तुमने बोला इंग्लिश बोल दो.
So if not any question, or if sometimes you are shy of talking or asking, or you feel, oh, my friend will think something about me, or he will know what I want to do, all those kind of things, you can always take my WhatsApp number. Mansa has it, and you can always message me, because I don't think we will be meeting again pretty much after this. I have an exam to take, and after that, if you want to stay in touch, you can always reach out. I might not reply right away. It might take. Usually, I spend my weekend talking to people, so you can always drop me a message, and if I don't know how much I will be able to help, but whatever I can at my end, I will try to help you guys out. So you can take my number from Mansa, and then ping me on WhatsApp whenever is needed with a reference that I was in your class in JNU, and so on and so forth. Next semester, I will also be teaching a course in IIT Bombay. So that will be more advanced course than what we did now. So if you, I mean, I don't know what is the system, but if you guys want, it will be online. Some of you can attend it quietly, without making much noise. So, so yeah, that's it from my end. And stay safe, take care of yourself and your families, and I wish you all good luck, and just stay motivated. Things will work out. Cool. Okay, guys. Then, if no questions, good night. I will also head home. It's 9:30. I was waiting in lab so that I can show it to you, and then now I will go home. Take care. Bye bye.